we'll get started here as we always do on a Tuesday, 7 o'clock hour with our good friend, Dr. John Braccio, Dr. John B. with Regional Psychological Services in East Lansing. And at issue today, the idea that seems so simple. I mean, it really does seem simple. How do you become and how do you remain a good person? But, maybe it isn't so simple. We'll find out by talking with him right now. Good morning, my friend.
Well, good morning to you, my friend Dave. Always a pleasure chatting with you. And
likewise.
I might add, it may seem simple to say a good person. I'm a good person. I've just found so many good people over the years that have trouble saying that, or they don't quite understand what it means, or they can range from having this scrupulosity to the point that anything they do is not good or not good enough.
Oh.
To those that get very confused, to the point that I thought I'd write down something, and we could talk about it, kind of a basic definition, basic elements of a good person. Certainly people, if you go back from Aristotle and Jesus Christ to many great thinkers, have tried to come up with it, complicated or simple, whatever it might be. But these are some things, some basic things that I believe people need to be looking at in themselves. And I use the word strive because I find that if you say something to people that are really good, well-behaved people, if you don't use the word strive, they will say, well, I'm not that, or I'm not this, or I'm not kind. So let me just mention a few things, or just a few of them that I think are key. Strive to be fair to others. This is certainly a very important thing. Strive to be kind to themselves. Very important to try to see good in yourself. Strive to have the courage to stand up for what they believe. So if you believe something, that you're actually able to say, this is what I believe, this is right, this is wrong.
Okay.
Or strive to control their passions, meaning keeping their anger, call it whatever it might be, passions under control, the summum bonum of Aristotle. They strive to be honest in their interactions. Basic honesty is certainly critical. 6, they strive to be reasonable in their expectations for themselves and others. Now, these are pretty basic concepts, ideas, and it seems like people would just say, well, of course I try to do those things. I'm striving, okay. Well, but they don't. Many people just say, well, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, I didn't do this. And I just say, in life, if we want to be a good person, we just have to strive to do good things. And I come up, of course, it seems like often as I come up with these things, I end up with the golden rule. Do unto others, you would have them do unto you. But Dave, you might be surprised how many really good people, if you just ask the simple question, are you a good person? They will say, well, I'm trying to be, I'm really not a good enough person. Sometimes I think I'm a bad person. And you can ask somebody who's really not doing much for someone else. Just maybe it could be self-glorification, or if they give $1, they want everybody to know they gave $1. But they see good in themselves. So I believe in life, and a lot of my work relates to people having a lower self-esteem than they deserve, and that they really need to start looking more and more to the good in themselves and use the word I'm striving to, I'm trying to, versus I am there, because that seems to put a block on a lot of people to say, I'm a good person. I do good things. I am an honest person. A lot of people say, well, I really can't say that. Even if they don't, they really can't give you examples of where they're lying or where they're doing things. They just have issues with finding good in themselves. And so I just try to give good advice to people, and that's why I figured for this topic.
Well, I like your word striving. I mean, that when you say striving, it reminds me that, don't let the old adage, don't let perfect get in the way of the possible.
Yes. Yes.
You're working towards something. You realize you're working towards it. You realize that today is not necessarily a be-all, but if it is today, you're going to do the best you can today, and you'll build on that tomorrow. But I think for many people, and myself included, that's a hard thing because the difficulty is, Doc, people measure themselves against what they think society is expecting of them, or someone down the street, or are they being judged? And maybe they're not being judged harshly at all, but that tends to make people feel like they're falling far short of the mark. doesn't it?
Well, you made something there, another statement that people can use for guilt. It's a reasonable statement. Trying to do your best. Well, I've had many people say, well, what is your best? What is my best? I mean, I just say we're striving to be good people, striving to do things. I know it sounds kind of funny, but you'll find a lot of people hear words and they interpret them, and often in a harsh way. And even if you can see a person who's really respected and cared for by others, it's what they think of themselves in terms of turning them into the best person they can be. I try to, when I'm talking to someone who really doesn't see themselves as a good person, I'll say, well, look, let's say you have someone who loves you. It could be a boyfriend, it could be a girlfriend, it could be a parent, it could be whoever it might be. And we'll talk to them. Well, look, if that person loves you, if I ask that person, would they say you're a good person? Person would say, well, yes. And I'd say, well, why would that person who you say is a stable, caring kind of person, why would they be wasting their time on a person who's not a good person, on a bad person? And that actually will have people think a little bit. If they're negative thinking, they'll just say, well, the person doesn't know me well enough. And I say, we've been with them 35 years. They'll just always find it out. So I think in life we want to be striving to be a better person. Like a garden. The garden, you're never done with a garden. And I think as a person, we're never done with ourselves. So we try to be good. We try to do the right things. We're going to make mistakes along the way. We're going to let ourselves down. We're going to let others down. That's fine. That's part of the human condition. But if we live by the motto of trying to be a good person, to be tried to do unto others, you would have them do unto you. And just basic standards of trying to be fair, trying to be kind to themselves, trying to have the courage to stand up for yourself, not allowing your passions to take total control of you, striving to be honest in your actions, trying to be reasonable. Those are pretty basic things for a person to strive for. It's just hard to believe how many people have trouble finding those elements in themselves when they clearly are there, and anyone else can see it, but they have those self-defeating thoughts and self-defeating outlooks.
Well,
that stop
you
them.
just brought up an aside to this here, which is you just said, well, many others can see it. So when you see something good in somebody else, and tell them, I think it's great what you're doing. I think these are. Do you really? Yeah, I do. I think you're doing a really good job. I think it's great how you work with those kids. I really, it's okay to compliment somebody, and then if you get one, take it well, and you know what? It might be true. You might be doing a great job. So take it to heart and build from there.
That, I think, is another element, actually, now that we're talking about this, being able to give and accept compliments. I think that's another trait of a good, effective person. Because really, if we want to see the truth in ourselves, we have to be willing to accept when people notice those good things in us. And I think also part of being the good person is to let others know when they're doing good activities and to be complimenting them and saying good work and keep going.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what I think that it is. I don't want to butt in. Oh, well, I wonder how they'll take it. No, it's okay. Tell them, identifying good things and goodness when you see it in the world, because Lord knows, Doc, we identify the other enough, don't we? And circle it and hone in on it. It's okay to say when something's darn good. And that includes in yourself the ability to identify when you're being a good person, what it means, and some of the building blocks I say are tried and true measurements over these many millennia, and not just things that are vapor in the breeze. The good doctor here is Dr. John Braccio, Senior Regional Psychological Services of East Lansing. And you can find the podcast at drjohnb.com. He's a good person. I know that. And I've got a background experience to prove it. Take care, sir. Wonderful talking to you today. Until our next visit.
Compliment. You're a good person, too, and a good family man. So look forward to talking to you later, my friend.
Appreciate very much. Right, we're coming back next on your morning wake up, 1320. This is WILS.